Hey guys, today we're talking about the brand new Ruger 1022 TD, the Takedown model. It's a brand new rifle on the market, been out for about a month and a half now, I think. The original Ruger 1022 was first introduced in 1964, classic piece of American weaponry. A lot of friends of mine grew up learning to shoot firearms first on a Ruger 1022, and this is just a variation on that family, the newest member. And for me, it's actually my first rifle. I'm a pistol guy, and my background's in pistol shooting, so I'm getting into rifle shooting with this gun in particular. So I'm really excited for it. First, a real quick disclaimer, a little bit about me. I'm not military, I'm not law enforcement, I'm not a gunsmith, I don't claim to be an expert. Like I mentioned, I'm a pistol shooter. Recreationally, it's just a hobby of mine, and so I'm here today just to share my opinions on this new gun and hopefully show you a little bit about it. So with that, actually, I'd like to refer to another review that's on YouTube by a user named gunblast.com. That's his YouTube username. He does a lot of great reviews, and actually his review on this new Takedown model was definitely a factor in me purchasing it. He does a great review, and I'm going to try not to repeat what he does too much, but because this is such a unique firearm, there are certain things I feel like I need to cover. But if you want to check out another great review on this weapon, check out gunblast.com's YouTube channel. He's got a great one. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started with this one. I'm going to try not to repeat the other reviews too much, but basically I'm going to cover a few things today, and these will be what's included in the purchase if you choose to buy this gun. We're going to demonstrate the takedown action and how to set it up properly. We're going to talk a little bit about why you might choose a takedown rifle and why this new model would be a good choice over the standard 1022s. We're going to talk about overall quality, the strengths and weaknesses, and a few of the internal parts that I plan to replace immediately. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about what's included if you make this gun purchase. It's going to come in a white cardboard box with the Ruger logo on it. Got rid of that, of course. That's just a box, but what you get inside it is this black nylon range bag. And this is going to be a pretty handy bag if you choose to use it, and I know I will be. There's a great review by a user named Gun Websites, and he talks about the materials and the workmanship of the bag itself, and he does a good job of it. I agree with what he says. This bag is not going to last as long as the rifle. It's made of inferior materials and not the best construction, but it'll do the job for now. It's going to measure about 25 inches in length, about 10 inches across, and about 5 to 7 inches in thickness, depending on what you've got inside. So it'll hold most of your range day accessories. You've got two big pouches here and quite a bit of extra room in the main compartment. So let's see what we get inside. Actually, before we do that, the bag itself has this MOLLE webbing that you can attach more range day accessories to, along with this D-ring up front. It's kind of nice, secure top carry handle. I like that handle a lot. It's great for carrying the bag. And on the back side, it's got 4 D-rings that you could use for the included shoulder strap. Alright, now we can take a peek inside. This is the shoulder strap that I was just talking about. This especially is of low quality. It's made with these plastic hooks. They're pretty flexible, not very secure. If you were carrying this in the field for whatever reason, hunting or anything like that, I wouldn't rely on this strap. I don't think it's secure, and I frankly wouldn't want to use it if I needed the rifle to be secure on my back. I just wouldn't use it. But, you know, carrying it to the range or something, it'd probably be fine for that. Also in there, you're going to find your standard action lock for the Ruger 1022. And I'll talk a little bit about this more in a bit, but otherwise it's just a standard action lock. You're also going to get a Weaver sight rail, and the receiver on the gun is drilled and tapped, so you can go ahead and just screw this in with the 4 included screws. No big deal. You can put your scope rings on it or your any other sighting system you use. So that's included. And we'll take a look in this pocket. We've got the standard Ruger 1022 magazine, 10 rounds, rotary fed, meaning when you feed the rounds into the magazine, they're loaded in a rotary fashion. The spring is compressed in that way, and it's very easy to load. When you compare it to a larger caliber single stack or double stack rifle magazine, this is going to be easier to load because that spring is just going to be easier to compress. It'll be great for teaching kids or people with slightly weaker hands because they can easily load the magazine. And there's a lot of reasons that 22s are good for beginning shooters, but loading the magazine is important, and that's something to consider also. Comes with one magazine. It'll fit out any of your 10/22s. And let's go ahead and take a look at the gun itself. The zipper pouch has these overlapping rings that you could pass a small lock through if you really needed to for travel or anything like that. Keep in mind though, it's just a nylon pouch. It's not meant to be a safety measure, it's just a deterrent. Go ahead and pull out the stock and receiver assembly from this main pouch. Here it is. Real quick, magazine is not in there, the action is locked open, and the chamber is empty, so the gun is safe. This bear paw is just something I spray painted on there to personalize the weapon. That's not going to be there if you buy one yourself. And then on this side we'll have the barrel. So there we go. That's what's included in the box. Oh, actually, and there's paperwork too, as with any firearm. You want to read through it, especially if you're like me, coming from a pistol background, not knowing much about rifles. Just read the manual. There's a lot of good information, the do's and don'ts of maintenance and all that kind of stuff. In particular, even if you own another Ruger 1022, or even if you own another Takedown rifle, make sure you look at this thing. This is the insert that they have for the Takedown action, how to properly assemble the rifle the first time, and disassemble it, and then assemble it again in the future. A lot of good information here, step by step, very easy to follow. Make sure you take a look at this, and I'll talk about this in just a second. Alrighty, so next we're going to cover setting up the Takedown action, putting the rifle together, and show you how that works for the first time and then subsequent setups. And talk a little bit about why you would choose a Takedown rifle. Again, I'll refer to this handout. It's very important that you follow these instructions carefully. If you're like me and you buy the rifle and you're anxious to play with it, you might overlook some of these instructions, and you'll end up having a system that's not working like it should, and leads to some pretty significant frustration, and I'll explain that in just a second. So let's go ahead and assemble the rifle. Again, magazine's empty, or magazine's not there. Action is locked open, chamber's empty, so we're good to go. Rifle is safe. Grab your barrel assembly, stick it into the receiver like so. Sorry if this is kind of hard to see. You just kind of angle it in, push it, and then rotate in this direction to lock the parts together. They mate pretty well, but you'll notice the first time you just click it in that there's this lack of fit between the two, and I'm trying to demonstrate the, there we go. If you can hear that knocking sound, that's awful, right? That makes you feel like you just bought a toy gun. Basically, what you gotta do is just follow the first time setup instructions in this handout, and I'll run you through that real quick, because if you don't do it, it's very frustrating, and you try to feel the rifle and it just flexes and it feels like crap. So here's what you're gonna do. First time you click it in, you put the barrel on and take this locking ring, rotate it towards the bolt side of the gun. Just go until it's finger tight and you can't really turn it anymore. Pretty tricky to turn, kind of digs into your fingers, but you'll get the hang of it over time. Just go till you can't anymore. And then notice it still knocks, it still flexes. No good, right? Go ahead and take this takedown lever with your thumb, pull it towards the muzzle, rotate back like the way you put it in, pull the thing apart, and then what you're going to do is take this locking nut and rotate it a few more times. It clicks when you turn it. They tell you to turn it 1, 2 more. That wasn't enough for me, so I went ahead and did 3, 4, 5. 5 more clicks. And then put the barrel back on. Just like before. It should have a little bit of resistance. And you'll notice it's still clicking. So what you're going to have to do, repeat. I'm going to go ahead and click it 2 more times. I'll put it back on. You feel a little bit of resistance when you put the thing together. It's still not quite enough, so. Sorry, I tried to reset this to the way it was when I got it. Things have loosened up a little bit, I guess. There you go, you feel a little resistance. Now the rifle feels very solid. very secure, one solid piece. It's like not even a takedown at all after you do that properly. It feels very secure, you know, it's just a solid rifle now, but what you're going to need to do, and what's covered in this manual, but to ensure repeatable accuracy every time you assemble a gun in the future. That was just the first time set up, and it's a little tedious, but not too bad. But in the future, every time you assemble it, when you put the barrel assembly on, go ahead and check that the weapon is safe, hold it on the receiver end, and then just, you're going to have to release the bolt here. And this is a major gripe that I have with this weapon, I'll cover in a minute, but release the bolt, just rack it 2 to 3 times. And what this does is it actually, block this open for safety, when you rack the bolt like that with an empty weapon, after assembling it, it provides that impact and that vibration, and that's going to go ahead and properly seat the barrel into the receiver. And that'll give it a very consistent seating, so that when you go to repeat taking down and firing the weapon, you'll have a repeatable zeroed sighting alignment, so that you won't have to re-zero your sights every time you assemble this weapon. So that racking of the bolt is going to be critical every time you assemble this weapon. But in the future, when you want to take this thing down at the end of the day, just take down lever towards the muzzle, rotate out, go ahead and store the weapon. Next time you put it together, do the opposite. Put the pieces together and then rack the bolt. 1, 2, 3, and you're good to go. So that's how you assemble this rifle and how the takedown action works. If you have any more questions on that, just go ahead and leave me a comment and I'll be happy to explain more or do a more in-depth video if you need.